Oh, membership quest here. I'm Cara,
And I'm Andrew.
and today we're talking about subscriptions because it's kind of a key. I'm being a little facetious. It's kind of a big deal with the membership. So today we're going to be talking about how they work. Not really how to set them up, but what the components are, how they'll interact, and how the magic of process flows and carts and products all work together to the magic of getting your members the content they signed up for and getting the money in your bank. So Andrew, let's take it away.
Yeah, and just before we get started, make sure to say the end. There's some pretty, we're going through a lot of detail today, and just a quick story, getting into memberships a few years ago. I've been in IT for a while, and Cara as well, but getting into memberships and subscriptions many years ago, it's pretty complex to a certain degree. It's easy to set up, but there's a lot of nuances there. So definitely we'll share some of the stories and ideas that we've hit, and hopefully provide some value and save you some time and energy. So stick around and say hello in the comments, either here or on replay, and we can't wait to get started. So here we go.
Yay.
All right.
So making sense of membership subscriptions, the magic of products, carts, and payments. And as a not terribly tech person, I'm learning a lot about subscriptions as well. And there's a whole lot that goes behind that buy now button. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. So subscription is all about the components of what makes up your online subscription. We're going to go through 2 subscription models, WordPress folks and SaaS, and then a payer-based model, and then some subscription flows. That's hard to say. Subscription flows, initial purchase, and then your ongoing subscription, and that's really where the magic comes in with all of this.
Yeah, and the big thing to think about these, and we'll talk about each individually, but subscriptions are different than the one-time payment, and there's a lot of a lot of widgets hitting back and forth, and even more so, how does that sync with your membership, right? So even if you get paid, we do a lot of work to keep our membership sites in sync and working. So definitely we'll talk a little bit about that and how they link together. So, all right, first topic, right? Oh, there's our sword in the stone with the hamburger.
There you go. With a hamburger. There you go. Because why not?
All right.
All right.
So the first topic today, subscriptions and the components of a, let's go to the side here just for fun. There we go, a little easier to see. Subscriptions and all the components of an online subscription. So first, me and Cara were talking about this earlier, and we were saying, how do we approach this topic, right? And Cara, had some great ideas about, we push the button and it goes, right? And definitely that's a good start, right? Magic, right? Woo. But from there, we kind of need to go backwards a little bit, and let's talk a little bit more about what is a subscription, and then what are the components, because knowing those a little bit, after using them for a while, there's definitely some advantages in knowing a little bit about it. So the first thing, maybe Cara can talk about this, but we always, this is my favorite GIF, right? Shut up and take my money. One thing with online payments, and we'll talk a little bit about how this fits into our membership thing, but people, when they want to buy something, make it easy to get paid. And that's our favorite saying, right, Cara? Make it easy to get paid.
Easy to get paid, exactly.
And sometimes when it's the most painful thing, they're going to either say, okay, I'll get it later because this is kind of painful, or maybe they'll just
never come.
Or they'll just skip it.
Come.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So make it easy when they're ready, that you make it easy. And so that's why we're all about understanding it so we can make it easy throughout the process. So talk a little bit why they're what they are, Cara, and why it's so awesome.
Are awesome in so many ways because as a business owner, they make it easy for a client of yours who's signing up for something that's ongoing to sign up once, and then they keep getting the service, the product, the goodies that you're providing to them with a one-time sign up thing. They don't have to think about every month they have to renew and put in their credit card and whatever, send a check in the old days. Remember that kind of stuff. It's just easy for them. It's easier for you to provide content and just continue that interaction. And for the, for you as a business owner, you get that income stream into your bank account. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to track people down. And people have the best of intentions. I am, the world's biggest optimist. And if people are missing a payment, if they're behind, I'm always like, they'll make it up. They just haven't remembered it. But subscriptions, when they're automated, like we're going to talk about, it takes all that out of the equation. Because I think people do have good intentions, but things get busy, they forget to pay something. So this just makes it easy for everybody. Yay.
And I also, as we also, the more we run memberships and courses, you really see that it's really an interchange of value back and forth, and that, even though it is on automation, we need to have a good process and flow of our memberships.
Yes.
To continue to provide that value that we promised that those subscriptions are associated with. And then it's a really nice agreement or arrangement with your fans and your members, right? Your customers. So
yeah.
Let's get going. And then, so what is a subscription framework? And so this is, just the way of thinking about subscriptions. And so we'll kind of go into each of these real quick, but how's the subscription kind of formulated? So first, again, most of the way subscriptions are set up is that there's a product associated with your subscription. And so so your product is usually set up. We're going to talk about WooCommerce, but we'll talk a little bit about maybe how it's set up a little bit in here in a second, right, Cara, about SaaS and maybe some other ones. We'll add some notes, but basically there's a product set up, and that product is a subscription type product. And the subscription type product is a product that you're giving some type of value for. It could be a box subscription, right, Cara, like cookies and all that good stuff. And it could be the access to your membership hub. And then that's where you also provide the values, videos, and teachings and lessons in instruction. And then, so the product then is associated with the price. And then there's a timing on that. So how often is that subscription going to hit? What's the most common? I guess it would be monthly, right?
Probably monthly.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there are also 6 months, 3 months, a year.
Even a year, yeah.
So a lot of times, a year is kind of maybe high-end courses that might have some subscription in there. And there's also additional ways we can add some interesting things to it, like an upfront fee or a trial period or something like that. But we're just going to talk about basic today. So subscriptions, and so the next one is the subscription itself. And so the subscription itself is a container of a product and the timing and a trigger of when that subscription is going to be fired on and get paid, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second here. So product that's based off of those components, and as well, especially on WooCommerce, you can set up variable subscriptions. So you might have a subscription for your gold membership, and then you set up a 1 month, a 3 month, and a 6 month. And then you create a variable subscription so that when you check out that they could choose one of those three, but it's still associated with one product that they get on the back end. It's just the timing of the payments.
Right.
So there's that. And then what Cara was talking about earlier is the cart in the transaction. And so to buy these things, there has to be where your customers put in their payment information, their customer information, their emails, their names, and then there's a customer created depending on where you do that, and that's part of the cart transaction. And they're separated because we're going to talk about two different models, but the transaction could be on different places depending on how you set it up. And it's important when we're setting up membership sites that we know at least where it's at, because we may have to do some extra work down the line to do some either sync our member information back and forth, or how do we verify that the payments are completed. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And the third one is the payer processing, which is the most important part, right? So most of our systems and SaaS components don't actually do the payment processing, and probably you've heard of Stripe and PayPal and Square and some other ones. And depending on your country, you may have different ones that we're not familiar with. So somebody's got to both do the payments, and then those payments are stored, and then there's some type of link to get your payments sent to your bank accounts and things like that. But
exactly.
Any thoughts on the whole framework before we move forward, Cara?
No, but just that all those pieces are really integral, and they all play together with either integrations or being in the same system and all that. But yeah, they all really play together well. And if they don't, that's when the tough stuff comes in.
And the frustration and the
frustration
confusion. And
exactly.
And everybody knows, and this is obvious, right? But we're dealing with people's money. So this is super important that we really understand how it's working, because if something goes wrong, we want to understand how we fix it, and how we can communicate how the fix is going. And especially when you're clear up front, definitely dealing with our memberships, when things do go wrong and sometimes integrations fail or whatever, if you're just upfront and be very clear how it's going to be taken care of, and what happened, and how it's what's going to happen for them, usually they're pretty okay with it once you kind of walk through it. So that's why it's important to pay attention to what we're doing right here now. All right. So maybe talk a little bit, this is our map, right?
Right. This is our membership site building blocks and the roadmap of building your membership, all the components and the different areas that you're going to need to think about when building your membership. So you can see our orange arrow now is in the middle in the sales funnel section. So memberships, subscriptions, the sales, the sale portal, that's all about the funding and how your membership is paid for, and how you're getting the funds, and how the members are getting the value in exchange for their money. So yeah, that's where that's going to fall into the whole building block system.
Yeah, and so a lot of times we're talking about building content, and we're talking about finding your audience, and we're talking about serving our members, and our teaching, and doing all the fun parts of doing what a membership, right, Cara, is the fun part. That's the fun part, is actually doing it and providing value. But there is that transaction in between. And so the nice part is that if we pay attention and we set it up right in the beginning, and we have a clear path of how we set up our products and things like that, definitely that helps, because it queues off every 6 months or every month or whatever. And if you do it right, then you're providing access to your membership content, and there's some way to sync those two, and understanding kind of the how they work together. So that understanding how it goes, and we're going to always be kind of referencing this a little bit, because this is kind of Membership Quest's thought of how the customer journey is, and how do we build and integrate our systems together. So we'll continue to reference that.
Exactly.
So we're going to go into the two subscription-based models now. And so here we're going to kind of talk about kind of a server-based or WordPress or SaaS-based. We're focusing more on WordPress, but some SaaS, like some SaaS software as a service where you pay monthly service for a integrated bundle. Some of this do a lot of the same things, but they may only have a certain parts of it. So that adds more complications to it. And then there's the payer-based model, which you do everything on the payer, and then you have to figure out how to get all that information into your members, get your membership sites.
Right.
So we'll talk about the first model here in WordPress. This is one we run for most of our sites. Yeah. And all your order processing is on WordPress. So we'll talk about this one. Me and Cara have been talking through this because we're setting up some integrations this week.
We are. We are.
And so this one is where WordPress is really where you set up your products. So you would set up a product called Gold Member Subscription. You would set up what it is, how many months, if you have different variables, like we have a 1 month and a 6 month, and then you set the price, and then you set the interval. So each variable would have the timing associated with that. The second thing, then you have your cart. And now WooCommerce is the main kind of cart system for WordPress. And it's installed on many servers, as well as it's free. However, when you work with subscriptions, there's two ways to do this. There's a lot of variance here, but I would say if you're doing this model where all the order processing is on WordPress, then your cart is on WordPress, and we'll talk some subtleties here in a little bit. And so you set up your product, you set up your cart, and then now at this point, if you don't have any sales yet, you don't have any subscriptions. And here's where a subscription is an object that's created after the cart and the purchase has gone through. So in this case, we'll talk through kind of a flow here in a little bit, but in general, in our system, our access lists and our membership software, which we use a lot of times, we use Wishlist Member, which protects the backend content, and then we use course software for displaying the content, as well as some dynamic content through Jet Engine as well. But so now you have a product, a cart, and now once you have an order, you have an order, it processes, it then has an integration where it then sends it to the payer. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how that works. The payer then does the work to check to see if the credit card's valid, if this is a valid transaction, and then it sends back information saying this is good or bad. And then in our case, which is nice, then it notifies Wishlist Member that these people are accessible and adds them to their members list. So it's all in one beautiful transaction, and then the money is stored on, we use Stripe, but and then you get paid out certain amounts of time. So again, the thing to think about this right now is that the information is stored, or all your processing and the transactions are based off of inside of your WordPress, and then the paying transactions always in the payer. And then how do you integrate that together? So this is what we do, right, Cara? So, you know.
Yeah. And it's elegant. It really is a nice system to have everything pretty much on WordPress and just have the pay system on the outside. But it when it works well, and it really does work well, it's a beautiful thing. And I think also from the customer point of view, it's kind of it's a really simple, clean way of interacting. I mean, they're not going to see the back end, obviously, but just, I think it adds another level of trust and credibility when you have a nice payment system, a nice subscription system. They get a notification, you're in, here, here's how to change your password. And just that added value and trust level is a important thing with subscriptions as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And one of the things that we do as well, and not to throw any complication, but when, the cart system in WooCommerce is pretty basic. So you put in your information and you buy it, and then you get authorization. But we use a product also called CartFlows that also kind of builds a mini funnel in there, so that it also has a landing page. It builds a kind of some fancy design on top of your cart, so you can customize your cart. And then you also have the ability to do upsells and downsells so that we can add on a cart. So, hey, if you want to do this, do you want to add a course on? Do you want to add some other things? And you can do that during the purchase process. So it definitely increases additional sales when they're ready to buy.
Yeah. And really quick, Andrew, we talked this afternoon about some of this, and I wrote something down that you said that just was like bing, 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 bing. And it was CartFlows is like ClickFunnels for WooCommerce. So if you know the ClickFunnels system of sales funnels and it's a product, yeah, I just love that. CartFlows is the ClickFunnels for WooCommerce. So it does the same kind of stuff for WooCommerce for purchasing.
Yeah, and there's and again, it builds some elegance to the top of it. You can do everything without it, definitely, but we like to use it just for some more customization. Yeah. And then so we'll move into the next phase here. So this one is, now we're going to go into the payer model, where all the order processing is on the payer system. So this is probably a little more, we call it the bootstrapped adventure, OQ, right? And original Quester, where we want to save some costs. We don't have our own server. Maybe we're not paying for a SaaS model, and maybe we're doing our community through Facebook, or we have an email. We meet in person. I mean, there's lots of different things, but this is nice because you set up a payer account, which we have to either way to get our payments in, and then you set up your products on here, versus we set up our products on the WordPress, and then we also set up the subscriptions in here. We would either can add a customer manually through there, or we can have the system create a link. And usually they're pretty nice looking links, and they're all safe and using the same encryption as the other ones. But you can put that link in a button on your page or a short landing page. You can email it, right, Cara, through our newsletters and campaigns, and then we can post a link on, we probably wouldn't do it too much like that, but maybe Facebook or some other place where it's an easy way to get people into our membership. And then the payment processing is on the same place. So really everything's contained within that system. And the nice part about it is a lot of times it's free. But as you start to work with both, and we have different things set up on both, there definitely is some, for the free versions on like Stripe, for example, it's not super easy to see everything. It's hard to find things in easy reports, but it's doable, and it will save you money. And there's a lot of times there's no cost on that side for the actual processing of it. Of course, either way, we're still paying a percentage for the payer processing, right, Karen?
Right. Credit card processing always has a fee.
Yeah. Now, where the complexities come in on this side is that once the payment goes through, there's nothing for it to, if there's no integration set up, there's no way to get your payment authorization to your membership site automatically, and thus you have to do something fancy to this little zap below. Somehow you need to, set up an integration or you can use something called like Zapier. We have some other tools. And then what it does is it waits to see if there's a success. Then it automatically somehow sends the email and maybe name and other information, and then it zaps it over to your access list or your member portal. And then you have to keep those two in sync, so that we got to also imagine that maybe people will also be canceling their payment someday. And if they cancel their payment and they can't, and it doesn't go through, basically, how do you know? Because you're still providing people access to your membership and your portals and things like that. Right. So there's a little bit more complexity to that, and depending on how you do it, definitely that could be a problem. But also on the other side, it's actually easier to a certain degree as well. So, any thoughts on either way, Cara? Because I know
Yeah,
we
they
do.
both have, you know, they both have, I'm not going to say pros and cons. I guess it is pros and cons, but they both have functionality that's a little different, and in the end, it's the same thing. But yeah, it's depending on if you want to do it more yourself or you want to integrate everything through WordPress. So yeah, just different options and different membership types.
Yeah, and we actually use both for different companies and different things, but the more that I would say that if you have your membership on your WordPress site and you're integrating your members access list through there, definitely look into ways to get your processing through there, whether you can do it through an integration or you can do it through WooCommerce where it actually creates products, and then there's an integration with WooCommerce and, like, for example, Wishlist member. So they have integrations as well. So
Yeah,
a lot there. So let's move on. Woo.
it is.
All right, here's our intermission.
And I'm not going to say anything because last
You
week
could
I
you
gave
could say it this
away.
time. This is pretty straightforward. But this is a fun movie, and definitely when you're hungry for some chocolate, this is a good one to know. So if you know who this is, or know some fun parts of this movie, put something in the comments, because definitely this is it can be, you know, during replay as well. You know, this is a really fun. It's been a while, and there's actually two versions as well. They actually both have some fun parts. Of course, their OG original one. This is pretty good. So we grabbed a quote from the movie, which is pretty funny, or actually from the book quote that says, "Don't forget what happened to the man who suddenly got everything he wanted." And he said, "What happened?" And they said, "He lived happily ever after." So
Instead of, oh, bad things happen, he's like, it was a great thing. He got everything he wanted. So yay. Yeah, I love this. I read this book when I was probably in 5th grade, and I still remember the cover and what a good message it was. So yeah, if you haven't read it, take a read too. Yeah.
Yeah. Books are good for the brain, by the way.
They are. They are.
All right. So we're going into our last section here. And so this is the flow. Now this is the place where Kara wanted to start with, and I agree, like, this is the best place to really see it in action, right? This is the where it goes from beginning to end, right, Kara?
Yeah, this is pushing the button. And all that other stuff's been set up, so now the button you can push.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is the where the rubber hits the road, and now that we broke it into two really basic types, and there's some other things that go on your thing, but really there's your initial purchase, and there's your ongoing subscription, right?
Right.
And so this is where we start to kind of differentiate a little bit of the differences. So initial purchase, this is again where we talked about there's a link on your site, like Kara said, or they go to your WooCommerce site and they click on your product and they buy it.
Right.
They choose what subscription they want, what timing. I'm gonna have a little water here. And then we go through. So we'll just talk through it. We don't have to. We're not going to go into showing it this time. But if there's anything specific that you have questions on, throw it in the comments. You know, make sure to we're going to continue to look for different topics as we're going through. So I'm going to actually put in our Facebook members group. It's a free group, but it's closed. So all you need to do is ask for requests and we'll let you in there. And there's going to be topics and discussions about these things. And definitely would love to see you there. So, and also like and subscribe. So we want to continue to look for ways to work with you and learn more from you as well. So, so our initial purchase, this is the first moment in time. So they add it to the cart. Then you have your purchase action. So they put in their information, their customer information, their credit card information. Anybody knows WooCommerce test, you know, the secret test. Don't tell anybody, 4242. So if you ever put 4242 in, let me know. That's our secret card, Cara. So it tells you right on the screen, I guess. But, it's the cool part about WooCommerce is you can also put it in test mode, and it can send test transactions to Stripe, and we can do a whole flow and actually see people purchase with a fake credit card. So that's kind of fun.
Very, very handy.
So purchase, and then the little eyes are integration. So then there's an integration with your payer. So like WooCommerce, you set up a Stripe integration, and then you configure it, and you got to put a secret key in there. That's like Cara said, the key to everything is the key. And so the key is basically a handshake between your payer and our WooCommerce to say we trust each other, and only those two can talk to each other via this secret key. Just to note, this is a tip for people. I've fallen into this trap too. So when you set up your secret key, we have password safes and things like that where you can store some of the stuff, but keep that secret key in a very safe place, because some systems like Stripe, once you get that secret key and you put it in, they never do it again. Ever. So it's a one-time thing. Yeah. So if you don't have that, and it's in your WooCommerce encrypted, right? But what happens when you have to refresh it, or something happens, or you need to put it in again? If you don't have that, you're going to have to recreate that key and then reset up that link. And do testing again. So be careful with that key. That's super secret. Is that a word? Super secret. Yes. Okay. It's super secret. Right. And super important. Yeah. Two S's. So we have that purchase, the payer, and then the payer, we send the information, they check the credit card. It's pretty cool when you actually go in Stripe, but you get to see all the different, there's like 25 things it does to check to see if the credit cards, you see all these little numbers and encryption and all this kind of stuff. But we don't see the card. You just see that it's doing all these checks. Yeah. And then the biggest one is you get a thing back saying, did it succeed or did it fail? Which is really what we care about, right? And if it succeeds, it gives you a success message, not us, the system. And if success happens, then it creates, not necessarily this word, but it creates a subscription object at that point. And what subscription object is the saying, okay, going forward, we have this live payment that's happening X times a month or X times a year, right? Right. And here's how much it costs. Here's the product it's associated with, and then it sets up a trigger or a time in the future where it's going to fire again. So if it's 1 month, it's going to say in 1 month, and it actually calculates the date. And then in 1 month, that will fire again. And then when that fires, it's going to send a payment request in. So it's really important to understand that, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But so it sets up that subscription model object and then the trigger. And then if it's successful and you have an integration set up for our example, like Wishlist, then the success message then triggers that the product is bought. That triggers Wishlist and then adds them to the membership for the first time, right? Right. So that's kind of the initial purchase. That's kind of we always say when the little bell rings, right? Right. Exactly. When the bell rings, yes. The little angel gets wings or whatever, right? We have a new member. Member. Ding. And we celebrate. Yay. And those are pretty cool. You can set up cool stuff on your phone or something, and some really I say this in a fun way, but real nerdy people I remember have some really cool like lights set up, and then the lights flicker or they change colors while they're on live while they're getting orders and stuff. You're like, wow, I got to figure out how to do that. So ding, 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 definitely that's something I need to learn. But so the last thing is that membership access. So again, if you're on that WordPress SaaS model, depending on the SaaS, right, then you're going to get that integration into your membership list. If it doesn't do that, then you need to do that manually or set up some type of integration. So that's the initial purchase. Any thoughts on that, Cara? Yeah, no, well described, Andrew. Good job. All right, verbose. Is that what you're saying?
No, it wasn't at all. It was very clear. Thank you.
All right, just kidding. All right, so now that like what Cara said is why subscriptions are
Awesome.
why are people's awesome. And if you think subscriptions are awesome, type the word awesome in here, and
Exactly.
I think there's 2 spellings for awesome. So if you can use them both, that's good. So the ongoing payment. So here's kind of the thought of what happens on the back end here. So first, because we set up that subscription object, then the trigger happens. Then the trigger sets up a trigger event, so that there's already a time in the future where this happens. So like on WordPress, there's, I don't know how often it fires, but every few minutes or something, there's a check, and the subscription engine says, hey, is there any live triggers today? And they're like, nope. And then say, okay, go back to sleep, right? But when it does, then it fires that trigger. Then it's going to go say, okay, we have a product and a cost that we're going to send out to the payer. Or if it's on the payment system, they're doing it there. And then it does the payer processing, and then you get your success or your failback. And then it sets up a new trigger, and then it says, hey, now let's add whatever that month and time is again, every 6 months, every 1 month. It's going to set up a new trigger, and then hopefully the access or the sync with your membership software. So I guess the subtlety here is that the membership sync, if it fails, right, Cara? People do. Sure. It's a sad thing to say, but people do cancel their subscriptions once in a while.
Yeah, or their credit card got hacked and it's been closed or whatever. That happens too.
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons for that, and in depending on what it is, if they cancel it themselves, but if there's a problem with the card, definitely we can contact the members and things. But the good part about this is if there's a failure or they do cancel, then that sends a signal to your membership software if you have that integration, and then it can cancel their membership out. And like, a nice cool flow is we have it where it's synced with the membership wishlist member. It would cancel them out of wishlist member level. They still have an account on the server, but they can't access anything. And then it also removes you because there's an integration with your mail. It takes them out of that live mail list. So again, it really helps save time and energy and helps keep you synced with what's going on in the world. So this is a fun process. Anything else on your on the flow? Those are the two main flows, right, Cara?
Yeah. Yeah. And the way I like to think about it is just how much easier it is nowadays. Just when everything's automated and you don't have to think about it. The old days when you sent an invoice, you got a check, even if it was a monthly thing, and just this long turnaround time. And now it's instant. And I think that's made the world a little better place. I really do.
Yeah, and I think one thought, and that's why that's kind of a reason why we created this. But membership quest, the whole point of a good membership is that, or a good process, sorry, is that you kind of think about the flows, even if you're drawing it on a piece of paper. Cara and I talked about a joke, right? I have like a little secret portal here.
You do. The secret arm.
Right, and then you have a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
Is that, sorry, we got a little jam cat there.
Yay, jam cat.
Is that you can draw it out. I mean, you don't have to have any famous mapping software or anything. But once you draw it out, really think about how does it, we're trying to, that's the whole point of, us continuing to, talk about we look at this portal here, right? Like, how does this all work together? And if you think about this, map out your membership and your payment processing. And even if it's just arrows and you put the word Stripe or you put PayPal, and how do you integrate with your members lists, right? Or do you do it manually? Do you do it like Cara said? Sometimes manual is fine, right? But ultimately, you know, you have the ability to think about that at a bigger vision. And my whole point on this, sorry, going a little long, is that an extra few hours of your time over 10 members, 20 members, 50 members, 100 members will add up over time. So really thinking about it and really work with people, maybe pay somebody or work, you know, ask a question in a group, like let's say member quest or something like that. But ask questions, and you know, maybe not everybody has the answers, but definitely it's a good place to start. And think about every steps on the big steps on your process that take up the most time, right, Cara? You know,
exactly. Because
you
like
remember
you
our
said,
famous Japanese saying?
Yes.
Even in English, it's fine.
Translated is even dust turns into a mountain. So little bits of time add up to lots of time when you're a business owner and a membership owner.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just, and like you said, Andrew, that's such a good point, to spend some time up front, really thinking about the future of your system and how you can design it to help you in the future. And I think that's so well said, that spend a little time up front and it's going to save you a lot of time over the years and the months.
And what are those key points in a membership, especially? And one of those key points is talking about this funnel process is the minute they click go and they pay their subscription, we move from the funnel phase to the membership phase, right? This is a big step. And when we move those two steps, right, Cara, then we go into onboarding, right? And we go into how to begin the wow phase, right, Cara? The wow phase, right? How do you wow your members?
How do you wow them? Love them. Yeah. Serve them. And from that very first thing, and I think that's another awesomeness of automated subscriptions, is that when they hit the button, their credit card's approved, they're in. They don't have to wait for a manual. Oh, let me put you in the system in a week when I get around to it. They're like, I want to be in now, and they get in right then. And then you can just provide awesomeness to them, and they're going to love your membership and stick around for a very long time. So this first part really helps that process.
Right. And then if you have integration set up and it's 2 a.m., right? So, you know, we talk about here's a sample flow that then they pay. Then in our case, it might hit. So then CartFlows takes them to a thank you page. The thank you page tells them, here's the first 3 steps to get started. So that if they want to do it right then, there's a button right then to log in. They might already be logged in, depending on how you set it up. And then you take them to your onboarding portal, right? Or your onboarding page. And then Cara sets up amazing automations in the mail system. So if it's 2 a.m., the product fires and they get their subscription paid. That adds them to the membership level, which adds them automatically to a membership level email list. And then Cara has set up a welcome email for an automation in our mail system, which is in our mail discussions and our automations in mail, right?
Right, exactly.
And a little drip campaign for how to let people the first email so they know what to do, right?
Yeah. Because you know that thing about you only get one chance to make a first impression, and I think that's so true with our members and our clients wherever they are. It's just like yay, and then the opportunity to just keep doing that over and over and over. And that's a beautiful thing.
Exactly, and so how do we make that as automated as process? And the cool thing about automations is that once you set it up and it works in theory, then it's pretty much set up from then on, and you need to just audit it and keep it fresh and things like that, patch and all that good stuff. And then so that's the beauty of this system. So we'll kind of move on, but definitely I think this is a fun part. So let me turn off this here real quick. But so online payments, membership subscription. You want to do the recap here?
You bet. Drum roll. Wait, we need MQ. Here's MQ. He'll say it. Subscriptions, all the components of an online subscription. So we talked about process and carts and payment servers and that kind of thing. Can you see them, Chris? 2 subscription models, WordPress and SaaS based and payer based. And the different kinds of, look at them, there's Jamcat. And the different kinds of, different subscription models based on what kind of platform you want to use and what kind of integrations you want to install.
Right. And is it server based, or is it there? And there's pros and cons to each, right? And also setups to each, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then finally, subscription flows. We showed how it works from that initial boink, push the purchase buttons, and how that flows. And then once they have developed a subscription based on that first purchase, how that flow keeps going. And like you really said, Andrew, once that's set up and it's working, it's kind of on autoplay, which is a beautiful thing. And just test it now and then, but you're good to go.
And just a note of lessons learned, like, every month, just go in, check your subscriptions active status, see who's canceled, see if there's anything broken, see if there's any error messages, more than often than that, but at least once a month, and really look at that. So I think we hit all the things. We didn't even talk about how to do it, right? That's
Exactly.
that's a whole fun.
Those are another
maybe we'll do
webcasts.
Yeah. So if there's anything specific you want to see, you've been working on, let us know. Who does subscriptions here? Who set up a subscription? I'd love to hear from you and your thoughts. So definitely, share your experiences. And we're gonna go to our last one here, but start your journey today.
Yay.
Yeah. What's this picture from, this sand dragon here?
Oh yeah. We're on the central coast of California, and there's this little beach town called Cayucos up the coast a little ways. And every 4th of July, they have this, not this year so epic, but usually epic sandcastle building contest on the beach. So I went a couple years ago, crazy, amazing things. This year they had maybe 5 or 10 sandcastles, but here's a little dragon. So there we go.
Yes.
MQ says hi.
All right.
To his cousin there on the sand.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
that's kind of our whole theme here is, especially we talk about the whole point of subscriptions is, sorry, let me talk to the camera here. The whole point of subscriptions is, the whole point of membership is bringing value, and that building all our content and building an audience, but really the rubber hits the road where we do our online funnels and we get people into our memberships. And this is really the payment funnel and the funnels. So definitely something to think about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But we talk about, there's a lot of tech involved. Like we just talked through basic stuff, and there's a lot. We've learned a lot in last few years, and there are challenges, and it's getting easier in some sorts, and sometimes it gets a little harder, right, Cara? But I would say, we talk about, sometimes that's a scary thing, and that first purchase and clicking that button, right, Cara, is that but really, turning your tech dragons into friends, right? And so exactly. It doesn't have to be that big a deal. It's really about you challenging yourself and going through and doing stuff that we all know you can do it. And we've seen people that have started out with it being challenging, and that is such a fun time when people, their eyes light and they have have those light bulbs go off, right, Cara?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what Membership Quest is all about, is helping people to do what they do best, which is serve their members and share their talents. And there's so many ways to do that. And so hopefully we can do some fun interviews and things with people doing subscriptions and how they do it. But someday you still have to figure out how to do it, right, Cara? So that's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Exactly. Just thanks from MQ. And we're here to serve you, all your membership questions and how to get from here to there on this journey with us. And we're looking forward to that. So yay.
To join our online communities, and join our channels, and we will see you soon.
Yes, we will.
See ya.
Great. See ya. Bye-bye.